Hej wereld, jag heter Zaktarim Lord och välkommen allesammans till min kanal. Hello world, I'm Zaktarim Lord and welcome to my channel. As the title suggests, we have an interesting topic to talk about, so let's talk about it. The topic has to do with numbers, and specifically how to count in Asian languages, because it is very interesting. Before I dive in, I want to explain how numbers work in the Western world. If you learn any European language, it will most likely follow the same pattern, and the pattern goes as such. You know, in school we learn about units, and so let's talk about the units. We got our ones, our tens, our hundreds, then we get to the thousands, the 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, 10 millions, 100 millions, billions, 10 millions, 100 billions, trillions, and so on and so forth. You should be able to see this pattern. Ones, tens, hundreds, a new ones, a new tens, a new hundreds, a new ones, a new tens, a new hundreds, and so on and so forth. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, 10 millions, 100 millions, billions, again and again and again. And that is why in some math classes they might write it out like this. You might see a 1, and then a comma, and a 0, 0, 0, comma, 0, 0, 0, comma, so on and so forth. Those are place markers to show you how to count in a European language sense, which in most cases those commas are going to stay regardless of what language, but that is because it is very much the European sense of maths and sciences that has dominated the field. So of course everything's going to be measured in European sort of senses. I mean, think about it. The world uses the metric system, which was created by the Europeans, and so I think that's pretty obvious for why they would be inflicted across the world. Whatever the case is, that's how we count in, you know, any language that's European. It's very much like that. It doesn't matter if you're learning French or German or Dutch or Spanish, Italian, Swedish, so on and so forth. Well, it'll generally follow the same pattern. Of course, the individual numbers might be different. You might get to French and see that the number 80 is literally 420, or that 90 is literally 420, 10. No, that has nothing to do with weed. You interesting fillers out there. But it has more to do with just how the language thought of making the word for 90, because 80 is, for example, 4 times 20, and 90 is literally 4 times 20 plus 10, and so it makes some sense. Of course, it's not as efficient as with English, where we got, like, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, where each number and, you know, each repetitive of 10 is going to be based off of how many 10s there are. But I digress. That is, for the most part, how most languages in a European language family will work. They'll generally follow that. I don't know the bounds of where else that goes, but that is, in a European sense, how we count. So then the question is, what do I mean when I say that the Asian languages have a different way of counting? It's not so much to say that they have different values. It's not like one isn't the same. Like, if you have one of anything, that's still the same. It's just the way they go about counting, the way they think about things is different, and we'll get into that. And so, let's start with some background. When I say Asian counting system, I mainly am talking about Chinese, Japanese, and Korean, since those are the languages I have studied anything of, especially with the Japanese and Korean. And now the fact that also needs to be laid at hand is both Japanese and Korean will have they have two sets of numbers. I can make separate videos about this, but they'll have a native system and a system that comes from Chinese, which is called the Sino system, which is what I'm talking about in this video. Exclusively is the sort of Sino systems that come from Chinese. And so Japanese, Korean, and Chinese share these roots of how they count, because obviously, as I said, it's just a number system that came from China. There might be other Asian countries that use a similar system, but let's get into what that system is. And so, going back to the idea of units, in a European sense, you have to think of things in sets of 3. Again, ones, tens, hundreds. Copy that into a new number system, copy that into another number, copy that into another number value, and so on and so forth. In the Asian system, you have to think about it as if it were 4 zeros instead. And so, to explain, and I will try to translate as best as I can into a European sense, but ones are ones, tens are tens, hundreds are hundreds, thousands are thousands, and then from there it gets tricky, because then, going back, then we get 10,000 units, 10,000 units, 110,000 units, 10,000 units. Then we would get what would be 100 million unit, 100 million units, 100 million units, 1,000 million units, and then the trillion units, a trillion, and then 10 trillions, 100 trillions, 1,000 trillions, and so on and so forth. And so what I think we can get is that it's different units. And so I will go over what this would look like in both, more exclusively, the Japanese and Korean, since that is what I'm good at. I don't know all the Chinese numbers, but I can attempt some of the Chinese. And so, going over the Sino systems in Japanese, we have, I'll go through all the numbers you first need to know, which is 1 through 10. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4 or 4, 5, 6, 7 or 7, 8, 9 or 9, and then 10. And so that's how we get up to 10. And then 100 is 100, 1,000 is 1000, 10,000 is man, and that's where we then split off. And so this unit, man, we can then say 10 man, 10 thousands. We can say 100 man, 100 10,000s. Then we can say 1000 man, 1,000 10,000s. And then going up to the next notch, let's see, what is the next number? I think it's oku, which is 100 million. And then we can get 10oku, 100 million. And then 100oku, 100 million. 1000oku, which would be like 1,000 100 million. And then trillion is it's either chol or jol. You don't really get to say the number trillion a lot in Japanese, so I know it's one of those two, but whatever the case is, that's what we'll stop. It just keeps going on. And then using the Korean, it's the same thing. And so we'll go through with the Korean. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then that takes us to 10. 100 is pek. And then 1,000. Sorry, it's been a while since I had to think of the word for 1,000. It's like, I know it's very similar to the Japanese, but it is just leaving my mind. It's like, let me look it up real quick. I'm sorry. It just really left my mind. One of those moments where I just haven't used my Korean as much. 1,000 in Korean is, oh yeah, chon. That's why I left my mind. It's kind of similar, but not really. So chon, and then 10,000 is the same. It's man, and so building up from that, the same idea. We then get shimman, 10,000, 백만, 110,000, 천만, 1,000, 10,000, and then oku. Don't know what they refer to oku as off the top of my head, so let's look up that. Maybe I could have did a little bit more Korean practice beforehand, but let's see, so 10,000. So it's basically the same, but it looks like they usually would say irok, which does kind of make sense. So then we could say like shibok, pegok, and then chonok, and then I'm pretty sure that their version of the cho or jo in Japanese is also just jo, but I digress. We get the picture. It just keeps going on. And then to talk about the Chinese, the actual Chinese, and I might butcher the tones for this, but we get E, R, San, Si, Wu, Liu, Qi, and then I want to say it's like Ju, and then sure. I might have butchered the tones, but there's that. And then 100, I think, is boy. I don't remember 1,000 at all in Chinese, but I do know that the 10,000, I think, is also man or ban. And then it just goes on, but essentially the idea stays the same. You would then just say like whether it's ban or man, you would then say like Sherman or Sherban or whatever it is, and then you would say Bai man or Baiban, whatever the 10,000 unit is, and so on and so forth. I'm not too familiar with the Chinese, but it follows the same order. And so, as a practice for this, and I will type it out on my phone as we go along the way. If we wanted to say 9,999,999,999,999, we can instantly just add in the words for all those nines. Sorry, typing is a little difficult. So I will use the Japanese as an example though. So trillion, billions, millions, thousands, tens, hundreds, thousands, and thousands. Yeah, it makes sense on the camera. I'll have it correct for the video, but let's go through this. So starting from the most this way, we have 9. 9 can stand by itself because just like with English when we say all that, 9 is its own thing. And then to make the second one, we can then add in the word for 10, because it's the tens unit. So we can add in our nice friend Ju, and then for the hundreds next door, we can then add our friend Hyaku, and then for the friend next door, we can add in that sen, and then we can add next to that our friend mom, and next to that we can add in the next Ju, and then next to that we can add another hyaku and another sen next to that, and then we can add in our oku. Next to that, another Ju. Next to that, another hyaku. Next to that, another sen. And next to that, we get our final thing, which is the Jo or Cho, and I'm about to figure out which is. Maybe it is Cho. Cho. Accent. Added a accent to that. That's what's not Cho. Yes, Cho. Okay. So, and final with the Japanese. 9,999,999,999,999 would become, at least in Japanese, for starters, Kyucho, 9,999 oku, 9,999 man, 9,999. That is something to say. And then repeating that process by saying the Korean, we would get Kujo, Kuchon, Kubek, Gushiku Ok, Guchon, Kubek, Gushiku Man, Guchon, Kubek, Gushiku. Big number, I know. But regardless, that is how to count with Asian languages. It's kind of more of a 4 system rather than a 3. Of course, if they do commas, just like us, they'll use it every third. But in reality, you gotta be big brain. And so the point of this video is, if you're studying an Asian language, it is important for you to get a grasp of how to convert this over. You can either know that it's, every 4, and then in your head go and, figure it out, or you can automatically take this as a reason to, okay, I need to remember and equate these numbers. And so you'll go through and you'll be like, okay, easy, ones are ones, tens are tens, hundreds are hundreds, thousands are thousands. And then know that the 10,000 is 10,000, and that 10,000 is really 100,000, and that 110,000 is really a million, and that then that 10,000 is 10 million, and that then there's 100 million, and that 100 million is a billion. I'm already losing track of 100 million is then 10 billion, then the 100 million is 100 billion, and then 1,000. Yeah, you get the idea though. I'm losing track. But you can either memorize and equate over, or you can just in your head each time go, okay, this is that number, and then this, and do the math. But regardless, that was the video for today. I don't know that it necessarily needed 20 plus minutes to describe, but there you go. Now you can understand your own languages. I mean, you're learning about this in English, but um, regardless of what your language is, if you come from a European background, you can now understand how European languages work and why they work the way they work, and then how Asian languages work. And so that way when you're learning, I would say, Korean, Japanese, or Chinese, maybe other languages, how to then go about knowing how to talk numbers. Numbers are always the most difficult thing. I'll probably make videos about the Japanese and Korean numbers more in depth, where they have two systems and how to count things and stuff. But yeah, that's for another video. For now though, if you enjoyed, give me a like, please subscribe, and share with friends and family that might be interested in this content. And yes, we will see you in the next one. Until then, hey do.